Yeah.
Sieg Heil, ja.
Yeah, shorty got them apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur. The whole club was looking at her, and I think to myself, what a wonderful ass.
Love how you combine two songs with a voice that I don't know, that sounded like four different voices.
I see cheeks clapping hard on the dance floor, making me feel like I ain't never felt before. Shorty got them apple bottoms. I want to hear the Louie Armstrong cover of fucking apple.
That's
bottom
who it
jeans.
was. I knew it was Armstrong something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like something Armstrong, yeah. Mm.
My neck, my back, lick my pussy and my crack. So many possibilities of what the songs that he could cover had he been alive today. God rest his soul. Hi, welcome to the Double D Experience, everybody. Sometimes sometimes funny, sometimes serious, always off the cuff. I'm your host, David. Joined with me is my co-host, Dennis. Welcome to the Double D Experience. This is what we do over here. Yeah. Or it might be the Single D Experience soon, because Dennis is fucking dying. Are you okay?
Oh, David, I didn't know you were going to come out of the gate like that today, but...
That's why I didn't tell you. I knew it would get your goat. We were doing jumping right before we hit the button, yeah. I walked into my parents having sex. Why did they leave the door open?
Actually, real talk then.
What's
Have
up?
you ever actually, like, walked in on your parents, like, doing the deed ever?
No,
Like,
but
do you remember?
when I was a kid on vacation once, I did walk in while my mother was naked, but I only saw like her backside, and it was like for a split second, so I only saw like her ass, and then shut the door. Still very traumatizing. I mean, it was definitely. I was like 10 or something like that. Wasn't good. And recently, because of old people problems, I saw my grandmother's vagina, which is not something you should ever see in your entire fucking life. She's 90. She's 93. God bless her soul. You know, she just like had like you know what happens to old people like when they're you know on their way out. They have their conditions and whatnot. And I only barely saw it through it. Yeah, I only barely saw it like through the door or whatnot while the ENTs were here, like just making sure there was nothing severely wrong with her or anything. It's just you know, families go through that. You know, when like some people in there reach a certain age and whatnot. Me and Dennis have had this conversation a couple of weeks ago as about old people and whether or not, you know, they should be able to choose to be euthanized if they feel like they've overstayed their welcome personally. I talked about it with my therapist, actually, and he felt the same way, but we've had that discussion on here before. Dennis, how you feeling today?
Fucking horny.
All right, shut up. Nobody cares.
What the fuck? Alright, you know what, David? I'm gonna come into your bed later tonight, and I'm gonna fuck
please.
you, and then you'll never know that it was me.
Please, it's been a year and a half. I'm willing to.
Oh my god, the image that I had in my head was just fucking cursed.
You
oh my
put it
god.
in there.
No, no,
You put that image.
I know, but it's like just imagining like the mess I'd leave you was just like, oh, like, why would you think that? And at the same time, I'm like,
I know. I'll leave her caked in my well-arched excrement, and therefore she won't be able to recover.
would semen count as excrement?
Excrement is technically anything that leaves your body, if I'm not mistaken. I think.
Okay.
This is something I'm looking up the definition for right now. Excrement. Don't
Is
go.
semen
Don't.
an excrement?
Now, Patrick, semen is not an excrement.
Says Patrick's already got his dick in his hand. It's like,
No, he raises his hand again. Smegma is not an excrement either. Waste matter. No, it's waste matter discharged from the bowels, feces. It's only poop. Okay.
okay. So,
And it gave me a picture of a fucking lion taking a shit. That's the first animal that comes up. Oh, and a bear. And also a bear. And a waterfall for some reason. With no poop in that picture. That's weird.
bears are strictly carnivores, right?
Yes. No, they eat some.
Like, wouldn't
Plants.
they? I think they are omnivores,
Is
aren't
a
they?
bear a carnivore?
Strictly.
Let's find out. No, they're omnivores.
Okay,
they do eat
I
both.
knew, yeah,
I figured that as well. That makes a lot of sense. I've definitely seen them eat plants and shit before. And then, there's pandas who are, like, strictly herbivores.
Yeah.
Always on that good shit, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I always wondered, like, if there's ever been, like, I don't know, I guess, documented or videotaped interaction between, like, a panda bear and, like, a bear. Does the grizzly bear just bully the panda bear because it's like, haha, pussy, you don't eat meat? Like, it's just, like, fucking, like, just towers over him. Like, he just bullies him, like, the fuck, pussy? You little
fucking Chad the bear walks into like the fucking like into the fucking like cage or like the enclosure.
Yeah.
Enclosure. Panda's just sitting here with its like kids minding its own business and shit, and this fucker just comes in like, hi.
It's like fucking stacked. It's like on the. I really wonder what a bear on steroids would look like.
Chewing on that pussy stick, huh? Check this out. You ever say that shit before? And he pulls up like a steak that like the fucking like zookeepers gave him.
Or a salmon.
Or salmon, yeah. They probably feed them salmon too.
Or bass, whatever, yeah.
My mom loves bears so much. She was in Alaska, and one of the things she saw was like those bears that stand at like the little the river, not the rivers, the little creeks and like the waterfalls and whatnot. They literally stand there, and they stare into the water. They're just watching all the fish go by, waiting for them to jump out so they can catch one on reaction. That's what they do, and it's
so cool, actually.
It's so cool. It's so hype. I mean, you already know how I feel about bears. I just want to grab one and hug one and nuzzle in its little fur before it fucking Mortal Kombat fatalities me out of this goddamn moral coil. mortal coil, my mistake.
I actually remember there was
fucked up that joke so bad.
Yeah, you not only tumbled, but you also fumbled.
Back to fucking college league for you.
Back to the high school league for you.
No, the only 24-year-old there.
Just some big, tall motherfucker, like towering over these guys who just cracked puberty.
Those kids would still destroy me.
Probably, yeah. The same for me. Like, you gotta be like a good, at least, bit of like wide for football.
Yeah, of course.
Just at least a little bit. But going back, I remember I watched this documentary about this guy who was in like this protective kind of, I guess like, not really a suit, but like it just kind of was like this protective environment that he was in. It's kind of like in like a almost bulletproof kind of glass, like cage looking thing. And he was in like, I think the north or south, whichever fucking one. And the polar bears, he was like documenting them. And there was a scene where, and it flipped between his perspective and his camera, and then also the cameras that were like away from the cage. And they were like flip-flopping just to see like the different perspectives. And this polar bear straight up was like, I'm hungry and I'm gonna eat you.
Oh.
And this polar bear just like came first walking up. He didn't charge it or anything. He was at least like first kind of curious. I wonder if I could find the clip, but like he was like walking up to it first, and he like kept like pressing down on it, like he's like trying to like break it the fuck open and like get his dinner. He's like and he's like struggling for a bit now, like for a while at that moment, and like the guy's just like sitting there like, holy shit, like it's like, oh my god, if that cage wasn't there, oh, I'd be so dead. I'd be so dead. And polar bears are fucking huge too. Like, I mean, you know, we see our bears like in like the North Americas and stuff, but like polar bears are like, you know, they're not just drinking Coca-Cola up there. Like they like, I think they are on average, I think slightly bigger than our bears down here.
Yeah, they're kind of fat, actually.
Yeah.
They store a lot of
because they have to. Yeah, like
they store a lot of shit in there for
their
weight.
Yeah, they look big. And like polar bears, I think polar bears, y'all might call me racist for this, but I think polar bears are just slightly more cute. I don't know what it is with the white fur and shit, but like I
don't think anybody would have thought that if you.
Some people just love to throw that card around, man. I don't, but I know other people do. That's why I defend myself prematurely.
Better.
I mean, polar bears in general.
How much of a fucking tumblerette do you have to be to think you're fucking racist for having polar bears be your favorite type of bear.
People getting canceled for even dumber shit than what I just said. Like, it's not outside the realm
Dennis,
of possibility.
I don't know.
Here.
That's pretty dumb. That's really, really, really
David,
dumb.
we've covered a couple already here. And they were pretty dumb themselves, man. They're not in the same room as this, but I'm just saying, it's still pretty dumb.
Yeah, dude, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. If somebody says polar bears are my favorite bear and also Hitler was right, then that's like a different fucking story. But no, it's...
You think like Hitler would have gone, if he went up to like the North or South Pole and like he saw like polar bears, he's like, you see, those are the ultimate bears. Like, to his entire fucking posse, and they're like,
that is a very iron bear. It will be the new symbol of the Third Reich.
It's a shame it doesn't have the blue eyes, but you know, white fur. I'll take what I can get, you know.
Hitler House sounds like a Swede.
I'm also going to open up a furniture store. Call it a completely unintelligible name, but then I'll shorten it for stupid Americans. Also, to be fair, I've read that full fucking thing. With the big bat. Oh, I love Inglourious Bastards. Buongiorno.
Tarantino is a fucking psychopath. He's a psychopath.
You gotta be a little bit of a psychopath to make good movies, though. That's how at least I view it, because I don't think anything involving movies or art should be done by, strictly speaking, normal people.
Word, yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, you're not gonna get like greatness like you got in that scene from anything else. Like, Donowitz knocks it out of the fucking park. Round of roaring applause. You. That's my favorite part at the end where he points to like the second one. You. Like you.
Guys is terrified for his life. It doesn't even have to. They don't even have to ask him anymore. It's just like, we're on the map. He just literally just points it right to them, like for them. He doesn't even have to finish the sentence. He's just like, yep, right there.
Yeah,
that's where they are. And then they do they? No, they don't scalp him. They
yeah, they do.
Oh yeah. No, I thought they gave like the mark to his fucking forehead because they didn't
scalp.
Yeah,
the mark.
Because they didn't kill him.
Yeah,
they didn't kill that second guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like to think if World War II already has like a bunch of crazy stories like that. I was thinking.
It's the most influential and important time, I think, in human history. Like, everything. That's what that generation says. Mm-hmm. That's what that generation says as well. Like, they say World War II changed fucking everything. Like, literally everything. Like, the way the world works and shit just completely changed after that war ended. And makes sense to me with the way you see it. I mean, like, you look at the fucking... the Israel-Palestine conflict is a direct result of the ending of that war, because that's where they dumped a ton of the Jews who wanted a different place to live and created the nation of Israel, basically, and then they claim it's their land. Palestinians claim it's theirs because
didn't really partition it too well, like as most of these European types do, since there was even a treaty even before that called the Sykes-Picot Agreement, which was basically the Entente, an agreement between, like, I think Britain, France, and Russia to basically break up the Middle East to their own spheres, basically, like after the war was ended. This is World War I, and I swear to God, like whenever the one thing that I always hear about this treaty, and like most treaties, I guess in general, like where like it has to entail like people getting like cuts of territory and giving them to each other, like almost like slicing like a piece of cake. It's like there's always like so many of those groups, like even fringe groups that are within like, let's say, those areas of partition. And a lot of like the one thing obviously that if you guys are familiar with it, like, you know, let me know. But like one thing that about the Middle East that I think the Europeans definitely miscalculated was just how many of those groups don't like each other.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them,
I mean, imagine
would
like
rather kill each other. Yeah.
You think the language barrier has anything to do with that? Like, Europe just has so many different countries on top of each other that speak so many different languages, you know, whereas like stuff like between like states and like America, you know, it's the same country, we speak English. Canada, you know, most of them speak English. You know, it's different, you know, like I feel like over in like the West, and you have like in like pretty much the middle of the world, like Europe. I mean, I can't help but feel like there have been like maybe some misinterpretations passed down like through treaties or some things that makes them sort of notorious for having shitty treaties. I mean, I can't think of anything else.
The partitions themselves, like they're they were always kind of like an arbitrary thing because it's like they never really tried to think about like, what groups are in there, like are they gonna like each other, they're gonna hate each other. It's the reason why like Pakistanis and also Indians also hate each other. Like they and Britain is also at fault for that, like as to like why like that whole shit goes down over there. And I also just kind of like find it so funny that England, the UK basically like wiped their hands clean of this shit because it's like, hey, we gave your land back, so that's your problem. Like they just kind of just basically throw their hands up like, hey, we gave you your land back. You guys deal with it.
I'll still fucking shoot you if you step on my lawn, but
that's what England is. It's like
hard to believe somebody who sounds like this can be racist.
How could a country, talking about themselves, how could a country giving back their own countries back be racist?
Yes, look, we gave it back. We gave it back to you.
Like, we're doing the kind thing. We want you to have your own country back. We'll even take our flag back. You could have it back. And then meanwhile, it's like 20 years later, like literally there'd be riots. There'd be fucking almost straight up like shootings, murders, assassinations, almost straight up a civil war between like people. I always joke around that like, I always just kind of say like a bit fucked up, but like I always joke around that like, oh, imperialism was great. It really helped them along. Like I know for a fact like that's obviously not the truth. Like actually true. Like I mean, at the moment, yeah, like they gave them infrastructure and a lot of much needed things. They brought them fucking plumbing for one. But like after that, it's like after they leave, it's kind of
now there are more places that have sex again. Now we can finally make 1 billion of us.
I don't even think like India is gonna like have like India don't even have room to like sit on a train normally. Like the very fact that they ride that shit on top of the fucking cars, already tells you like there's no room to even fuck. There's no room to even fuck.
Which is insane considering the birth rate over there. But I mean, Dennis, why do you think so many of them decide to immigrate to their left? As an Indian, everything we own in the box to their left.
Do you think it's weird for an Indian to like go and migrate, like or immigrate, not to yes, to the left, but not past the pond, but they go back, or not they go back, but like they go to England and they live there? It's like, how does it feel for them? I really wonder to live in the country that oppressed them, or not oppressed them, but I guess it did oppress, but like that basically ruled them for 150 years. Like basically as their masters. Like I really wonder, like, is it like a little weird for them to try to just like be in a country like that? Like
I mean, like speaking as a white person who doesn't know like what it's like to be systematically oppressed, I literally can't judge that. I imagine it probably feels for some weird, people least, probably right? Feels really good that they can just be normal citizens again, but I imagine for a lot of others it's probably not enough. They probably be like, oh, I want a British Indian in Parliament. Like I want a British Indian to be like our representatives, this and that, and to be in more important positions. Because I don't know anything about British politics besides like a little bit about Brexit and shit. I imagine that their Parliament looks relatively similar to ours. A lot of old white dudes in there, probably.
Close enough, if anything.
Probably mostly old white dudes in there. I'm just gonna take a shot in the dark. I
mean, what those chambers are called?
Oh, that was in poor phrasing.
Oh.
That was in really poor taste. If that came off in a bad way, that wasn't even a joke. I just realized some people are gonna take it like that. That is literally not what the fuck I meant.
Quickly moving on before we dwell on that just for a little bit. Like, you know what their chambers are called? Like, we have the House and the Senate, right?
Yes.
They have the House of Commons and the House of Lords. That is, like, the most pretentious shit I've ever heard. I mean, like, House of Representatives and then the United States Senate's... Yeah, exactly. It's like, England's always kind of had that, like, even in their history, they always had this bit of, like, I mean, royalty in general, like in Europe, they always had that bit of holier than thou, like, fucking sort of tone with everybody. And like,
are you kidding? I mean, it's a country that was passed down through a dynasty for years and years and still is for, like, aesthetics, for show. You know what I mean? I mean, like, I imagine that's definitely how it was for years. I mean, that's literally why they fucking fought a revolution and made America, is because the king was like, God, my cock is huge. It's so much bigger than all the other fucking like peasants' cocks. You know what? Just because their cocks are tinier than mine, I'm gonna impose a cock tax. If you have a dick, If you have a dick that's less than 8 inches.
We're going to line you up, and we're going to get like a ruler. And we have this one specific threshold, and if you guys don't make that threshold, you're going to be taxed. Sorry, it's just how it is. Like, like, you know, tea and shit that's one thing, but, you know, our king wants big cocks. He only wants the biggest cocks in his kingdom.
Oh, that was like his version of Aryan. Just had to have like a specific sized dick.
There was actually a famous a Prussian king, and Prussia was basically what Germany was before Germany.
Right.
There was a famous king there that he loved tall men. He almost had like I'm gonna stroke my cock to these tall guys, like sort of fetish sort of thing. Like he just loved tall guys so much.
Like literally, like he had, like he was gay, like he had a fetish for like tall dudes.
You could construe it as gay if you want, but like, you know, he just had like such a hard on for tall guys that he would literally straight up like kidnap them off the streets and be like, and like they would be presented to him, and he would kind of be like, "Oh yes," like he'd be like given that like, you know, the meat stare, you know?
No.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Yes,
new specimen,
quite a fine specimen. It's like you're 2 feet taller than I am. I like that."
Sounds like I couldn't walk around at night back then.
Yeah, basically, if you were tall as fuck and you were living in Prussia, like it was over for you. Like you're gonna get kidnapped, like probably. But the thing was, it wasn't just like that. He was holding him in a pen or whatever. He had this one special army unit who he called like his grenadiers, and they were all full of these guys that were just like at least above 6 foot something. Like they were all fucking tall motherfuckers, like all of them. And
that was even like. That was, like, considered, like, my height back then. Like, that was exceptionally tall for that time around because people were, correct me if I'm wrong, weren't people, like, kind of generally shorter?
Yeah, when your diet was fucking only potatoes, like, you're not really gonna be getting a growth spurt too tall, you know what I mean?
Which is ironic considering, you know, spurts. Or spuds. Whatever.
I don't know why. I don't know where
I was going with that.
I don't even know why I agreed with that either. I was like,
sure. Okay, wait a minute. No, you're retarded.
My brain went on autopilot for a second. I was like, wait, what the fuck?
Happens to the best of us.
But yeah, I think I guess we might as well like talk about it a little bit. I don't even know exactly too many details as to what's going on over there in Israel and Palestine, but like because like I've been hearing about it, and like I straight up like. Every time I see it in the news, I'm just like, yo, this better not be the fucking spark that ignites World War III. Like,
no,
I am not gonna go to war over some fucking desert people. Like, I am not.
I
am not.
That's not gonna happen. I can promise you that.
I know,
but
happen, but the media is just like covering it so extensively, and like most of the coverage is just sounds so fucked up, but like. Palestinians shoot missiles, and then fucking Israel shoots missiles back, and it's just been like a going back and forth between each other. And like apparently Israel's got this fucking dome, a weapon stronger than Metal Gear, like basically destroys all the missiles that are coming towards them.
9 or 11 countries in the world that have nuclear weapons. I think
Israel.
I think so.
Yeah. I believe they do.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like, you know, the fight is so uneven. You know, the Palestinians really don't have much. Like, they will literally be, like, throwing rocks at people as, like, protests in the streets or whatever, and Israel will just, like, bomb the fuck out of, like, their children. A lot of the people who are dying over there are fucking kids who were not even born when this conflict was arisen. Like, that's how, like, you know, fucking head-ass, you know, like, these people are or whatever, that they feel like they need to, like, bomb the crap out of, like, people who literally have nothing to even fucking do with this conflict. Take a second and think that something like that could happen over here. What if you know, Donald Trump, you know, like when he was in office, you know, like it was even a more extreme version of what he was, and like wanted like, oh, I hate Mexicans so much, I'm gonna fucking bomb them or some shit, and then Mexico would be like bombing us back. Just take a second and imagine if anything like that would happen over here, which more than likely it's not going to, but just take a second. Those are human lives over there that are getting decimated for a conflict that fucking arose before they were even born. It's one of those things that I feel like, you know, the more the deeper you dive into it, the more complicated it can kind of become for just kind of stupid reasons, and like the history of it as well. Like, you know, like sort of like, you know, bartering with an ex if you would. You bring up this that's not relevant anymore. She brings up this that's not relevant anymore. When in retrospect, you guys just need to have some time apart or move on from each other. Yeah. Not equating what's happening over there to a fucking breakup, but I am saying that, you know, in retrospect, a lot of people, and even a lot of people over here, feel that it is relatively simple. You know, like Palestine was there first. You know, the Jews were dumped there after World War II because they needed a place to go or whatever. They didn't want to be in Germany, and as a result, they just feel like entitled to that land. Plus, it's something with like the Holy Land. At the end of the day, it's not even just a land thing. It is more than anything. It's a religious conflict. It is literally
it's also power.
It's literally Jews versus Muslims. That's another thing that it is.
It's also like, you know, at the end of the day, this is like just simply put like a power thing. Like Israel. As far as the presence in the Middle East, and again, like guys, I'm not speaking as no expert. I don't deal with facts here. at least even to this, especially because like, you know, Middle Eastern history and especially even Israeli like Jewish history in terms of that region is not exactly my forte. I know a couple things. There's also David does. So like, you know, again, like don't take whatever the fuck we say like as facts. I don't even know why like both of them started throwing missiles at each other. Like when it first started, at least all I heard was just that like, you know, Palestinians got bombed, and then also like they retaliated and such. Like that's all I've heard in the last couple of days about it. But the one thing I do know is that like at least Jewish history within that region does go back like thousands of years.
Yes.
Like Jerusalem is the home of the Jews. Like it's fucking almost practically in the name for like, you know, for all of you like who are not familiar with it, like Temple of Solomon, all those places, those landmarks, they're all down there. Like, and that's why they view the land as sacred. And it's, I don't really have like too many thoughts about the conflict itself, just other than like kind of me just regurgitating whatever I heard on the news and such, probably pretty poorly at least. But like, I mean, the Israelis like thing have gotten kind of dogged on in the last got dogged on by several other countries in the past like 50 years. They've taken land by right of almost, I guess basically classically speaking, right of conquest, because there was 4 or 5 nations, including Egypt, nations all bigger than Israel, all went after them, and the Israelis beat them all. And the Yom Kippur War is also an example. The thing, I think that one was called the 6 Days War. Like, I'm not going to say earned it or anything like that, because like I don't know nothing about them at least. But like, you know, they've, in a way, have earned their presence in the Middle East. Militarily at the very least. Like, you know, they've got attacked and they've won. Like, you know, it's like only natural that of course they would persist. And, you know, it's also natural that they would seek allies such as the United States. And again, like I'm not here to kind of like, you know, point fingers at any one of the sides, and like because I don't really know nothing too much about it, other than like if you guys are confused as to like why this thing has been going on, just know that looking into any history book about Jewish history, especially within and around like Jerusalem and like that whole like I guess region, there's been a lot of goings like back and forths. That place has changed hands so many times that this whole thing also of making even a Jewish nation happened like several almost a century ago. So yeah, this is kind of like almost just an extension of that, if anything, because it's a long history, like as to like the formation of the country, plus like, you know, all the kind of political goings on like that went on to like even make it happen, because like that whole region was under the control of the Ottomans beforehand. Like, you know, the country that you know as Turkey today, like they were like
history lesson with Dennis.
Yes, settle down, class, settle down. Like,
can I go to the bathroom?
Fuck you. I mean, do you really need to go to the bathroom?
Can I have the hall pass?
Wait, do you really need to go to the bathroom?
No.
Okay.
I was just trying to be that kid that, like, you know, keeps asking to go to the bathroom because he's like, oh, fuck school. But yeah,
I mean, that was me during school too. Like,
yo, facts, me too.
Yeah, like I hated high school. Like, I hated sitting through most of my high school classes.
I want to high five that kid and let him know that everything's gonna be all right. I really do.
I want to kick him in the nuts and say, don't date that fucking girl that you're dating right now.
What are you talking about? It's high school. Let him do what he wants, and then he'll grow from it. But Israel, Palestine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also,
you said you were on the Ottomans.
Yes, and the history itself is also a bloody one, as much as anything. Like,
oh yeah,
as in regards to like
just
the Middle
read
East,
the Bible.
like, it's read
the Torah
or the dirt. Like, there's still mines and shit over there. Like, it's been a war zone for fucking decades now.
Read the Quran, all that shit. It's like
even the Bible. You could even read that.
The Bible.
The Bible.
Oh, bro.
The Bible.
I totally dug that passage. Love that.
Like the Middle East, like people usually say like that. It's the oil, the Garden of Eden of oil. And
yes,
such. But like,
which
it's. I mean, to a case it is, but for a lot of the people who also live there, I'm not talking about like the big guys, like the politicians or those oil moguls, but like, or those oil princes, I guess, because like most of them are in Saudi. But like a lot of the people who live there, like the average everyday people who do live there, like that place is home for them for several different reasons, and a lot of it is kind of due to religion, but also at the same time, like there is a lot of history there too for them, and it's the reason why that. The conflicts that had started over there, like, kind of have a lot of almost historical connotations to it.
Of course.
Because, Sunnis and Shiites don't like each other. And they've been killing each other since, like, their entire religion even became a thing when Muhammad, I guess blessed be his name, literally, like, popped up out of the fucking desert and was just like, we got this new religion for all y'all. Y'all are gonna like it too. And if you don't like it, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Especially you, Christians, I'm looking at you.
Sounds like a brand new dance.
That's basically how it basically.
Like, we got a brand new dance for y'all.
Yeah, and y'all gonna like. It's like
it's called Islam.
It's like at spear point. They're like, you're gonna like this dance.
To the left.
It's like they're like nudging them with the spear. It's like, yeah, slide to the right. Yeah, it's like just do it. Just do it. Don't say nothing. Just do it. Smile. Just keep smiling. Yeah, just keep smiling. Yeah, make sure like
take it back now,
okay.
y'all.
Everything's okay, right? Like just like you're having fun.
One Jew this time. 2 Jews this time.
Case in point.
Like that.
If y'all don't,
that's how it went down. Basically.
And in regards to this whole thing, like me and David, I'm not gonna get into it, but at the very least, if y'all are confused about like why this is all happening, just even read a Wikipedia article about like the entire, like, not the entire history of Israel, but like just a bit of like the regional history, like within like Jerusalem and like the Holy Land and that sort of region, because like there is a lot of bad blood within that place, and like it's one of the big reasons why as to like a lot of the shit that's going on there is still happening. So that's my 2 cents at least. Moving on to another topic.
Oh, we're done?
Before I get into this, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm done too, because I'm as educated. I know the basic reasons that the conflict is happening. Like it's because like I mentioned a billion times, a lot of the Jews were dumped there after World War II, which is how we got on this topic to begin with, because we were talking about World War II, and then they created the nation of Israel, and they feel like they're entitled to that land, and then Palestine, they were actually there before they were dumped in, so they feel like they are the ones entitled to that land. Blah blah blah. And now this conflict has been happening for literally 70 plus years at this point. Like this has been going on for decades and decades and decades and decades and decades. So that's pretty much why it's going down. It's why you see a lot of, hashtag free Palestine everywhere, because people are like, okay, they were there first. This was literally their country, so now like these people just come out of here, like out of the woodwork back in like, after the war. And then all of a sudden it's theirs. Like, I mean, a lot of them over there are even like celebrating, like bombing the crap out of these people as well. Like, it's fucked up. And sometimes there will be some people who, because I feel like most people do like feel like, at least in America, I think most people feel like Palestine is the one on the right, but there will be some people, even like sometimes like, Jewish people, like my neighbor, for instance, who, who even changed her profile picture just like, supporting Israel and shit, because like she's like, because she supports, Jewish people.
She's probably got family there too, I'm sure.
Maybe, like, yeah. And like, even though like, a lot of the I'm not just saying, I'm not only blaming Israel, but a lot of the conflict is on their end. Like, they were the ones who did initiate the bombing. And, so it's, to me, it just seems like a lot of people, like, putting their religion before their kin, which is fucked up to high fucking hell. Like, they're literally, like, people bombing playgrounds and shit. Like, there was this video of, like, this little 10-year-old girl talking about how, like, she just wanted to play and shit, and it's like, Yeah, you know, your fucking religion is more important to you than that. The thing that you claim is your way of peace and shit. So it's like you don't seem to really practice what you fucking preach. Instead, you just want to lob some shit from the safety of your nation. That's the way I see it. You know, like it kind of makes you think of why, you know, separation of church and state is it's pretty good, bro. I'm on that wave.
It's also for the Middle East. I don't think it'll happen for a long time.
Yeah, and
it's just so ingrained into them. Culturally wise too.
How big picture would even people like the CIA be or anything like that? Because like obviously we would need to transition to electric cars at some point. Not even just because of climate change, but also because, you know, like fossil fuels will run out eventually.
Yeah.
Like they're not, unless we can find some way to like manifest fucking, you know, like dinosaur bones out of thin air. God forbid we start doing it to humans, if that's even a thing, if that's even a process. Logistically, that would be amazing, because then, like, we could just literally take the skeletons of people and then have it keep going, but from, like, you know, an ethics standpoint, that'd be pretty fucked up. There would definitely be debates on that for years and years on end, but, like...
Imagine even signing that waiver. Like, you will turn into fuel, like, after you die.
I die. If you check this box, I hereby claim that I, David Riverall, can have my bones ripped apart from my flesh at least a week after my demise to be used for oil, so some guy can drive his fucking, like, giant F-150 truck to the titty bar.
But, again, for me, at least, nothing wrong with driving an F-150 truck. I'm just, at least... I know David may have his reservations about, like, you know, I guess high gasoline, like, powered vehicles and such. Like, I think
and also having my bones used for oil.
Yeah, like, I think a Hummer is fucking, like, superfluous as shit. But, like, you know, it's like already, if you're having a Hummer, it's like...
I hereby sign off my bones to let this guy in the wife beater
drive his Humvee.
How much oil would that even be? Like, how much would one human make?
I mean, that's the thing, though, too. Like, they're,
That's a fucked up topic I brought up, wasn't it?
I mean, in some dystopian, like, kind of future. Like,
that would be a good, like, movie or, like, a book or some shit. Oh, Dennis, do you want to write like a dystopian future movie about, like, a future where people start using dead humans as oil?
It's actually not a bad premise.
Yeah,
okay,
actually, it's not. We'll put a rain check in that right now. I'm definitely removing this section from the podcast because none of you fuckers are stealing. That shit is copyrighted. None of you are stealing this idea, brilliant idea that I made. If you're even, you're not even allowed to listen to it. If you're listening to this podcast right now, you're getting sued.
Are we gonna private this video?
No, but in real talk, I mean, like, in the conversation about oil, you think the Middle East is fucked up now? Wait until no one needs their oil. Seriously, like, wait until no one needs their oil. Now what? Now what are they? Now what are we? You know, like, now we're just like a bunch of, like, pissed off religious people stabbing each other in the desert.
There is one country.
Not that that's what they all are. I don't mean that in a racist. I don't mean that in a racist kind of way. By the way, you know what I mean. I'm talking about in terms of, like, you know, I'm talking about in terms of the conflicts they have down there. Like, I've seen amazing Iranian films actually that talk about, like, really deal into the culture of the movie. Like, there's this one about, like, a couple getting divorced because she wants to move to America because she's like, all right, this place sucks, I want to leave. And then he's like, I want to stay here because his father has Alzheimer's, and it is very, 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 very huge in Middle Eastern culture. I think Arabic culture specifically, if I'm not mistaken, where you take care of your parents when they can't take care of themselves anymore. Like, that's not something you skip out on, or you send them to just send them to a nursing home or something. Like, no, like, you take care of your parents in that culture when they get to that age, and that's why that movie happens. And it really delves into, like, the logistics of, like, divorce law over in the Middle East and whatnot, and the kind of conflicts that they go through because of that. Really interesting dive into the culture. I do not remember what that movie was called, unfortunately. I watched it in Bergen Community English class, and I don't even think I have access to, like, Moogle or whatever. Moodles, not the fucking Final Fantasy cat thing.
Damn, David, I've been out of Bergen longer than you, and I still know the fucking name.
Shut up. All right, I didn't remember fucking Moodle. All right, but so I don't even think I can log into that anymore. My file on that shit definitely doesn't exist. I've been out of Bergen for like 5 years, so that's definitely not there anymore. I wish I could remember what that movie was called. Maybe just Google, like, I'm gonna Google real quick, Iranian divorce movie.
All right, while David searches that up, like, and also, like, the Middle East,
a separation. There it is. It's called
a separation.
A separation came out in 2011. It's it's a It's a drama. When Nadir Payman Mahdi, a bank employee, refuses to leave Tehran, his wife Simin, Lila Hatami, sues for divorce in the hope that she can make a better life for their young daughter abroad, and then needing somebody to take care of a senile father, blah, blah, blah. Really good movie. Find it where you can. Watch it if you can. I don't know where you can watch it, but just, I don't know. It's not my fucking problem. You can go and do it yourself.
Get a VPN, torrent the fucker.
Or maybe like some sort of, get like some type of Middle Eastern Netflix account or something like that, if you can find a way to access that. Whatever, but it's a good movie. It's called A Separation. Very good movie. Foovie. It's a very good movie. Why can't I talk today?
Usually it's me, David. Usually it's me. But
my pipes, my Leben.
I thought about a little bit about like what you said of how like, you know, what would the situation be like if like the oil basically was considered a non-issue by like other entities. Let's say up to that point, like if the U.S. was able to find oil from other countries, like obviously they would just, because I think the Saudis do charge. I don't know the numbers for sure, but I could definitely tell like they could easily charge up whatever they wanted, and like the U.S. would be like, okay, yeah, we'll buy it. Just give us the fucking oil.
Yeah.
And there was another country that that does also have oil, and I think it was somewhere in South America. I fucking forgot, but I believe it's the country that's going through some shit right now. Maybe not Colombia, but
would that be is it Brazil?
No, it's not Brazil. It's like further towards like the north, like literally after you get out of that little neck from like Central America.
Well, it's been a long time since my, South American, fucking Mayan excursion, but like trying to find the temple. I don't know the geography too well.
Oh, Venezuela, there you go.
There you go.
They also like had like some oil going down there. I don't remember as to like why. Like I heard the oil is kind of, the quality is a little worse than like Middle Eastern oil. I don't know like the logistics of it exactly.
Well, did they taste test it?
Yeah, they just stuck their finger in the vat and was just like, "Yep, that's oil." It's like, "Hey Johnny, give me the lighter." He just like sticks the lighter in his mouth.
Like blows like a fireball.
Yeah. Like, those guys over like always at like the little circuses like always impress me. I'm just like, damn, like they dedicate their lives to this shit, and I'm too pussy to even sometimes ride a skateboard.
Let alone drink gasoline.
Let alone drink gasoline or swallow a sword, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I always did wonder that too.
I can feel it in my lower intestine.
Like I think if the oil was not an issue anymore, like it would just stop being an economic, like I guess, issue for a lot of countries, especially us. Because I think after that, I think, okay, again, like I don't deal with facts over here. I'm just thinking in my head, at least. I feel as if the United States would have a much bigger reason to just pull the fuck out of there at that point. Because I think probably the heads of states, like everybody, like all the bigwigs are probably going to like talk to each other and then probably decide that, yeah, there's no point in being there.
Yeah,
since oil is not an issue.
A shit ton of troops back recently.
He proposed it. I don't know if he actually did yet, but he did say, I think, on the news like that. Yeah, like we're gonna be trying to pull out more of our boys out of there. But
it's so interesting to think. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
Oh no, and I just wanted to at least, I guess, add on that the if it stops being an economic issue for us, then it's just gonna become the people who live there's issue. They're already killing each other, like, and they've already been killing each other for so long now at this point that like. They don't even really do it for oil. They do it for religious reasons. That's an entirely different reason from ours. And why... I mean, we invaded Iraq and got Saddam because of 9/11 and such. Like, that was a retaliatory attack.
Allegedly.
Yeah. But, we stayed for that oil. So... Like, if that reason's gone, like, there's going to be no reason.
Came for that ass, stayed for her heart.
Came for Saddam, stayed for the oil, basically.
Pretty much.
And if the oil doesn't become an issue anymore, I think if, let's say, EVs given, like, I think some companies' projections, especially even Tesla's, is that, like, we want a good chunk of the population to own EVs and, like, we want them to, like, basically replace gasoline-powered cars. I still love gasoline-powered cars. I'm a car guy myself, but again, I do see the utilities of EVs as well. But like So I drive a fucking sports car, for Christ's sake. And like,
Yeah.
that's why I love cars by extension. But again, if like EVs like do become the new thing, and I do see that they can become not. It's gonna take them a while to basically replace all of gasoline powered cars. But in a couple of years, I could definitely see them having obviously just a much bigger presence than they already do now. They already have a big presence out there in the world, and especially within the United States. Like I see Teslas for every like every 5 Hondas, there's always like one Tesla. So like, you know, I could see that number getting bigger and bigger as the years go on. And for you know, and oil is not just meant for the car industry. There's other industries that do use it. And as far as our military, you know, we have like nuclear powered submarines and nuclear powered aircraft carriers. So like, you know, we don't really need oil for that per se.
Yeah.
But the oil industries, like if one of their biggest, I guess, like buyers or like at least people that they work with is with automotive industries, especially, you know, our car companies like Ford, GM, Chrysler, you know, Chevy, all of them. Like they all work with them. And Chevy and also Ford is also starting to go towards like the EV route too. So like they're already starting to make their own electric powered vehicles as well. So like they know where the wind is blowing per se.
Yeah, you know, some of them claim to be like only EV by like 2030 or whatever and stuff.
It's gonna be longer. It's gonna be longer than that. Like that's even optimistic for me.
Well, I mean, like only producing.
Yeah, but like that's why I'm saying like I feel as if that's a bit optimistic because. I mean, Tesla, I guess you could say, is like a very much a mover and a shaker when it comes to electric cars, and arguably they are. Like, you know, it's like they're the
definitely moved and shook those fucking Dogecoin.
Yeah, and basically gutted Bitcoin as well. Like, literally just took a knife and just gutted it.
Did Dogecoin like boost climate change?
I honestly loved like just seeing people go like borderline, like not fully ape shit, but borderline ape shit when they like heard that basically our boy Musk over there was gonna like basically take off Bitcoin as like an accepted currency for Tesla.
Right.
And everyone was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why is it going down? Like, you know, like that's how all like basically guys who read stocks and cryptos are all like, they all just like look at the green arrow or the red arrow now going down, and they're just like, why is it going down? What the fuck is going on?
But I implore you, do your own research, even though they can never fucking tell you it yourself. That shit is. Ooh, Dennis, you know how I feel about that shit.
I know.
You know how I feel about that.
I know.
Ooh, don't get me started. Don't brand me. Don't light that
I
fire
will.
under my asshole.
But basically, like what I'm saying is like I do feel like the reason why our presence is so big over there, and people could argue that like, you know, it's still for the military reasons, like, you know, we are trying to like help those areas that were affected by the war on terror and even like other terrorists like to recover. It's the reason why like United States soldiers are there for a reason. But like I feel as if once the economic reason is not gonna be there anymore, neither will the soldiers be there as well.
Yeah.
There probably will be a couple of them still stationed, but nowhere near as like the presence that they have now over there. I think at one point like there was at least like a couple tens of thousands of troops over there. Like, at least to the greatest number that I remember, about along that ballpark figure. So like I feel as if like, yeah, again, like if the situation of the oil isn't a crucial economic one anymore, they'll end up starting to pull out their troops as well, because like, you know, it's like, we don't really need to be here.
That shit's about oil, man. I mean, like, it's definitely
it's
like, why would
money.
the U.S. want to fuck with that? Like, honestly, dude, it's like, listen, I know I correlated the Middle East to a breakup earlier. But I'm gonna go ahead and do it again. Well, actually, it wasn't the middle. You know what I mean, like the Palestine Israeli thing.
Yeah.
It was straight up. It's like baggage.
Just lots of baggage. Yeah.
Here's what the Middle East is to America, at least, not to American people. I'm talking strictly like, you know, governments here.
Mm-hmm.
It's that really, 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 really hot girl that you know is just fucking awful for you. She's damaged goods.
She fucks good.
It. You know it. She's damaged goods. She's got like so much baggage, needs years and years of therapy that she's refusing to get. like because of just whatever issues, and then just as a result she keeps imploding in herself within because she never tries to help herself
or exploding. Okay.
Or exploding, and is also frankly in a very shitty situation in comparison to her neighbors and the people around her, to the point where there's no one around to really help her herself. So she just tries to help herself, but doesn't necessarily have the resources for it. America has been under the gauze of helping that woman for years and years. I say that with quotation marks. For years and years on end, because that pussy's just too good.
For 20 years now.
For 20 years, they've been in that abusive relationship. That pussy's just too good. And then, when that pussy dries up,
they moving on.
They're moving on. When that oil well dries up, they're moving on because now you're just with somebody that you're not even attracted to, that's got mountains of baggage, proving that you never loved her. And that's exactly what the situation with America and the Middle East is. They never loved her. We love what you got. And that's pretty much what that is. And the Middle East just implodes on itself within because of all the baggage and history that comes around it, and no one around them is helping them. Yeah. That's what it is. It's like a sad, abusive... It's like a sad, like lonely woman with like a shit ton of baggage and abuse over the years that has like such a history to it and wants help, but just can't fucking get it, no matter what they do, and no one around them is helping them either. That's the analogy that I would like to compare America's relationship with the Middle East, and the Middle East relationship with the world too. Some of those people like are just fucking pariahs wherever they go, wherever they immigrate, whether they have to deal with racism or some sort of like religious bigotry, anything else. Even if they go to like European countries, do you think that shit only happens in America? Fuck no. There's a shit ton of Europeans that fucking hate Muslims. That's absolutely a real thing.
And they have their own history too with that as well.
Yeah. Please, tell us.
Oh my god, it's gonna be another fucking hour.
All right, then don't. No. It's all right.
But I was gonna at least mention that, it's that whole reason and that whole I guess analogy that you just said is the reason why we even fuck with the Saudis to begin with. Like, they are, by all intents and purposes, should be pariahs in the international community. But they have that oil, so no one really talks too badly about them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Which is an abusive thing in and of itself. Like when you know how fucking toxic somebody is, but you're defending them constantly, which is, trust me, in my neck of the woods, is something I have seen in my personal relationships as well. It's the saddest thing in the world when you want someone to be something that they're not so badly, to the point where you just pretend that's who they are. Because of this warped image that you have of them. Not saying that's what, the Saudi Arabian thing is. Like, a lot of the UN and a lot of other countries know the fuck shit that country has done. Or, like, the terrorist groups that come from that country done. Yeah. But, again, that pussy too good, so you just look the other way.
That oily pussy, you know what I mean?
That oily...
It's just... it's just too good, man.
Well, I mean, oil-based lubes don't... Like, they do feel okay. I mean, water-based ones are better, though. I
haven't had the... chance to try any lubes yet. That's actually surprising, I know, but
well, me and my ex literally never used a condom once, literally ever. She just didn't want to, and you already know the story with that, so we had to use lube kind of frequently, which made it nice, I won't lie. Number 4 prostitute.
Yeah, but eventually the U.S. is gonna stop lubing the dick for that pussy.
Exactly, and what's going to happen to the Middle East, and even when America abandons it in that sense, at least business-wise it abandons it. It's so... fuck the Middle East. It's just always in the history of life. I mean, think about it, it's the place that's literally in the middle of the world. You gotta think to yourself, maybe, how much did that have to do with it? It's literally the center of the world when you think about it in that way.
I love this one quote that some guy that I remember hearing, and it was this guy talking about the Middle East. He's like, "Oh yeah, man, I would love to live in a dusty shithole that explodes every 2 seconds." And I was like, "Holy shit!"
It's not even their fault,
And it's not even their fault. Yeah, of course. I mean, at least for the average everyday people, they're just trying to fucking live out there. For the ones that haven't just straight up emigrated out the fuck of their country. And the ones still staying there, they're just trying to live, and just trying to survive. And
there could be people like you or me from there, people who want to be historians, people who have the same sense of humor as you or I, Dennis, people who have dreams, I'm sure maybe there's somebody over there who wants to be like a voice actor, and the reason I say this kind of stuff is because I try to like always like when people like don't have a hard time showing empathy to those less fortunate, I like to just try to make them seem as similar to them as possible, because they are people with dreams and aspirations in life, and people who just never had those same opportunities that guys like you and I had. That's the kind of stuff like where you just say it doesn't hit people as hard, right? It like, because it's just like, I live in a first world country, I'm so used to the pampering, it's hard to feel sad for these kinds of people sometimes. Even I get that way sometimes, but that's why I like to try to really correlate it. Even like to like lower income communities in the US, like there will be people there who like have the same dreams as you, want to do the same things that you do, might be just like you, who just, not unlike you, have to deal with so much bullshit, like whether it's racism, religious bigotry, all this kinds of stuff. And that's why these conflicts are really just so sad at the end of the day. These are human beings that shit happens to, it's like, I like to correlate it to that, to try to like make them seem as similar to guys like you and us as possible, just to really like try to make people a little more empathetic towards those less fortunate.
They are. The only difference is that like our neighborhood doesn't explode every fucking day.
Exactly.
Like, and it's also, like we're all eating a shit sandwich. I always quote that shit from Bill Burr, but like I do believe it. Like everyone here just eats a shit sandwich, and like we're all just trying to get by and like make our way into the world and such. And for them, obviously, it's infinitely harder because every day is a fucking explosion in like the street next to them, or the house in front of them, or even fucking the building like thing right a couple blocks from them exploded for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
And
yeah, dude, people smoke a plant in this country that makes them hungry for fun. For fun. While there are starving kids in Africa, you fucking assholes are smoking weed while there are starving kids in Africa. Every toke, every puff that you assholes take, you should feel bad. You should be like, wow, there's somebody in another country who... Wow. Oh, man, I bet it'll feel great to hit that shit. No, they just want food, motherfucker. And you're smoking something that makes you want more food? Dude, weed smokers are technically like the biggest first world problem that's ever been a first world problem, because you're just doing something that's deliberately making you more hungry.
Speaking of first world problems...
Assholes.
Fucking assholes.
Assholes. It located between Kyrgyzstan, Turkestan, and assholes, Uzbekistan.
I also just realized something too. Like, like organizations like the Red Cross, like World Peace Organizations, all those fucking guys. Like,
do not donate to Red Cross.
I know, but like, my what I was gonna kind of getting at was that like, we all know like how these groups like go to like these affected countries. I've never heard them go to a Middle Eastern country. And here's the thing. I can't blame them, because they know that if I do go there, I'll probably die. I'll probably step on a landmine, or if anything, a car bomb will go off and I will be in the vicinity of it and I will die. Mm-hmm. It's one thing to going, I guess, sounds a bit fucked up, but like it's one thing going to an African country and helping some sick kids. It's another going to a straight up battlefield.
Yeah.
Like a legit war zone.
Or drone strike. They could just be there. They could just be there and, an American killed you. Technically. So there's that as well. That could happen.
I mean,
just like Uncle One and Uncle Fungus.
The American equivalent of that was World War II, where we literally bombed the fuck out of Europe. Yeah. The United States and Britain straight up bombed the fuck out of Europe. Not just Germany, France as well. Like before even like the D-Day landings, like we literally bombed the shit out of them. And these American soldiers who came through these villages had all these cold stares looking at it, because it's like, my house just blew up.
Yeah.
My house blew up like 2 years ago because of you. Like
the technology, they just wanted to like wipe it out as best as they could right then, because it's not like, the kind of direct, like precise, drone strikes and stuff that they have today with the insane technology that the military has. Back then they didn't have, like, beep boop, scanning for Germans.
It would literally be like carpet bombing whole towns off the map. Like that's how it was, like at least by the time of 44 and before D-Day, like they really ramped it up by that point, because like we're just trying to make Germany fucking surrender, but they won't surrender, so it's gonna bomb the shit out of them and hope to God that it helps.
Scanning for Jew haters.
But it wasn't even a lot of
Jew hater detected.
Within the neighborhood of that Jew hater is 500 other people that don't even care, like
exactly,
that have nothing to do with that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the reason why, like, World War II itself, like, it definitely was like a that was probably definitely one of the few wars that really was like good versus evil, because like the Nazis were evil.
World War II was one of the last truly justified wars, in my opinion.
But at the same time, though, there was a lot of shifty shit. Shifty as in, like, stuff that's not really talked about too much in, like, public circles, I guess. Because, like, nobody ever... everyone always knows the D-Day landings. America landed and gave, like, liberated Europe. No one ever talks about the fact that they bombed the fuck out of, like, several thousands of French villages and towns, like, before the invasion. And even, if we're even going to go into Germany, like, there were even cities... I don't know if you ever heard of the Dresden bombing. It was literally like a bombing campaign from the RAF, the Royal Air Force, from Britain specifically, that people say that, there were bombing campaigns and then there was Dresden. That's how crazy it fucking was, because they literally set fire to the entire, like, basically to the entire city. A good, I think, more than 50% of the entire city was basically affected and burned down to the ground. Several casualties as well. Fires even like several miles high. Like, it was like literally like hell on earth for them, like when they were over there. And then there's the whole argument of like, oh, like, Dresden was in Germany, so therefore a military target. But it's like, yeah, but at the same time, like, it was later found out that like it wasn't exactly hiding some crazy amounts of like German industry and shit. It was very much like kind of how you imagine like a lot of German cities to be. It's like in the fucking hills and mountains, and like, it's fairly large. Like, it was a fairly big like metropolis, and people still talk about the Dresden bombing today because it's like, people say like it was one of the few times where we kind of the Allies misused like their military power, because there's also Dresden, and then there was also Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So it's like, the arguments kind of just never end at that point, because people's reasons for Hiroshima and Nagasaki was like, we were just trying to end the war as quickly as possible, because if we don't drop these 2 fucking bombs, then we're going to have to be sending in our boys in there, and it'll be a long campaign.
Yeah.
Like, this will make D-Day look like a fucking joke.
They said at minimum that 1 million more Americans would have died.
Oh yeah.
Had we not dropped the bomb and just delve deeper into Japan.
Yeah, like, would have fought for every inch of Japanese land, basically. And like, and the Japanese were also basically like digging themselves in literally underground. Like, they were ready to die if they invaded.
And America probably, if that had happened, dude, fuck, Nintendo probably would have still been a trading card company. No more Mario.
Yeah.
No more Zelda. No Smash.
History would have definitely, of course, been different. And, there was a lot of things that even happened afterwards that, like, had it happened differently, Japan would be a totally different country. Like, because Japan's, from what I can tell, like, they are fairly cooperative with the United States, because, like, they have that treaty and such. But there was one stipulation that, like, not stipulation really per se. I don't know exactly what the treaty was entailed exactly, but like, how Japan, I don't know if you know it, still has an emperor. Like, this is from the same family from the guy who basically declared war on the United States during World War II. Yeah, he comes from that same family. The current emperor now comes from that same family. And one of their stipulations was that, like,
the current emperor? What are you talking about?
There's a current emperor of Japan. Yeah.
Like, not like the prime minister or chancellor?
They have a prime minister, but they also have the emperor, who he functions basically as like their national figurehead, like the Queen does in England.
I was just like gonna bring up that comparison. Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, the emperor is like basically still alive. The royal family's still alive. Like, they're still kicking it. But one of the stipulations was that, like, I keep saying stipulations, but like, the Japanese, they've thought that the Americans would basically depose the imperial family. And a lot of historians have basically said afterwards that had they done that, the entire Japanese population would have been completely uncooperative with the United States. And like, shit would have probably hit the fan even again after, like, they after occupation and such.
Yeah, they would literally never quit.
Yeah.
They would have never surrendered. They probably would have, like, seen, like, I don't even know how many more Japanese, like, would have died.
They would have basically just seen red all day. Like, in their eyes. Like, it would just been blood in their eyes, like, the entire, like, time that they were there. Like, so that's why, like, you know, there's, like, this territory of what if that I kind of don't want to get into, but, like, militarily speaking, it was the right move, though. Because in the end, with hindsight, it did end the war quickly.
Yes.
So, you know, but again, like, that also opened its own can of worms, like nuclear power.
Of course.
Like,
because, you know, that couple years later, you know, like 10 years, the arms race was in full swing.
Yeah, like Stalin already had made his own bomb like a good year afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a good year after Hiroshima, basically. And, like,
you haven't
after
played
that,
oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, and then after nuclear power became such a thing, and then once we were able to utilize it in a way where it, like, would help our everyday lives, not just in, like, a destroy your enemies sort of way, we had nuclear reactors. But also at the same time, we had fucking Chernobyl happen, and that could have been a fucking global, like, disaster had it not been stopped, basically. Like, I don't know if you ever watched that Chernobyl series.
I never did. I don't know enough about Chernobyl, personally.
Oh, but I think you'd like it, though, regardless. It's done really well, and they kind of explain it in a way where you are stupid. Because I thought, like, I wouldn't understand any of this shit. Because, like, you know, it's like nuclear reactors, like, you know, it's like all these terms and, like, you know, formulas and all this shit, but, like, they break it down in a way where it's like, you're fairly average, like, I guess, viewer. You don't need to be a nuclear physicist to fucking understand this.
That's funny, because that's one thing that The Big Short tries and very much fails to do. Very much fails. They're just like, oh, here's Bar Raffaelli naked in a hot tub to explain short selling to you, and it doesn't work. It does not make anything in that fucking movie more simple. It's still really, really complicated economics that they talk about in that film. But, fuck, what was I was gonna say, like, no, you go ahead.
Oh, yeah. And basically, I don't know, like, I'm still also scared. I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but we do that here, so, you know, you guys deal with it. But, like, I think I'm still scared of nuclear energy in general, because, like, there was also the Fukushima nuclear reactor meltdown that happened in Japan, and that entire area, I believe, is basically closed off to the rest of the world now at this point.
Yeah.
And Chernobyl is still a fucking wasteland as well. And I personally believe, like, I don't know if I've heard this right, but, like, it's going to be practically a century or more before they could go back in there after the radiation's died down.
I think even more than that. I heard, I don't remember where I heard this, but I heard something like it was going to actually be a couple of centuries before like it would clean up. I don't know, but that I don't even remember where I heard that from, so that could be.
I believe it, though, considering like how bad Chernobyl was. And at least in the series that I watched on HBO, like, they kind of talked about how, like, there was so many people trying to downplay, like, how bad this was, like, actually. And when it was found out how bad it actually was, like, that was when even, I believe, Gorbachev or Khrushchev, who was in power at the time, that's when even he realized, okay, we got to get our shit together and close this fucking thing off now. Because if we don't, not only are we fucked, everyone's fucked. In the world.
At the very least, you can put down your differences for that when you realize something actually is that much bigger than you. Maybe people low-key feel like religion isn't that, and that's why they keep bombing each other for it instead of just talking it out. But to relate that shit to Call of Duty, I was talking about before, I remember Modern Warfare 1, like the original, there's a mission in like 1996 where you're like going to assassinate somebody like in the aftermath of Chernobyl. And whatnot. There's certain areas you can't go to there because of like the radiation or whatnot. It's a video game, so I'm sure it's not too accurate. But then, and this is pretty much, I guess, big spoilers for, you know, COD Cold War, the recent one. I'm sure if you haven't played it yet, you don't really plan to, for most of you. But here you go. If you actually care about spoilers, here's your warning. Pretty much the main plot of that game, right? Is that about little less than halfway through? I mean, you're trying to like catch like a certain like you're trying to catch like a specific Russian terrorist, and then halfway through the game, or a little less than halfway, you find out that because of the arms race in 1959, what America did is that they actually have set up a bunch of sleeper bombs in like every European, and like pretty much every European city. In pretty much every European country as a last-ditch defense in case they couldn't stop in a full swing invasion of the Reds. That's what they were doing that for, and as a result, What happens is that there was a stolen nuke out of Germany, and that the terrorist Perseus has it. So he's in possession of like an American nuke that once he detonates it, would set off a chain reaction of nukes, completely destroying Europe. That's pretty much the plot of that game. And to correlate that to the arms race, I mean, I'm sure they base a lot of when the COD writers do this stuff, they base some of it in fact, and then a lot of it on this, I'm sure, fiction.
Mm-hmm.
I hope and doubt, mostly hope, that shit is not based on something that the U.S. actually did. Maybe I'm willing to bet that maybe like that was probably like some like declassified file that years later they'd be like, okay, this was like Plan H or whatever, like for America, like
Plan Z.
Yeah, pretty like that basically. This Plan Z can't possibly fail.
The Americans like just like take the folder and sniff it. It's like it's lemon scented.
Oh.
It's just like a map of Europe, but it's just like a bunch of
evil.
circles.
It's like diabolical. It's lemon scented.
It's just like a bunch of circles overlapping each other. It's like this is the radius for the explosion. And it's just like oh.
Oh, fuck. He just opens that shit like a fucking Playboy.
I know. And again, for the Americans, pays to have two major oceans be your basically a first line of defense, basically.
Yeah, essentially. That's why, Europe, again, what I was talking about, the Middle East, literally the middle of the world. So they always eat the most shit from stuff that happened in, like, like even global conflicts. Like the Cold War. All the countries that got, like, fucked by the Cold War. It's like, this is literally like a pissing...
Afghanistan.
It's like literally a fucking pissing match between, like, the U.S. and Russia. And, like,
that's
these
what it
countries
was.
are paying... And these countries are paying the price for it. It's like bullshit.
All them proxy wars, that basically happened. Like, everyone... I don't know if too many people kind of know of the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, but, like, that was also, like, one of those sort of wars. Like, the Gulf War, especially.
Again, that's a mission in Black Ops 2. That's another thing that Call of Duty talks about,
Oh, shit.
About, like, the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, yeah. And also in a Billy Joel song.
Yes, that is true. Naming 72 fucking events of world history
Pretty
within
much.
like 3 fucking minutes of a song.
I really want him. I don't know if he ever did this live. I'm sure he has. But if he hasn't, great idea. Updated lyrics, bro. Come on.
Of current events?
Yes. Updated lyrics for like 2021. Come on. That would be sick. Right?
I mean, yeah, it would, but... That's I think that'd be like, even lyrically speaking, it would be a logistical nightmare, in my opinion.
9/11 television.
War on Terror present. Bush, Obama, Trump.
Oh fuck!
I mean, he'd also mention George Floyd. Oh my god, yeah, there'd be so many. There actually has been a lot of shit.
Black Lives Matter, anti-matter,
Antifa.
Yeah, like it's hard to like think of like if we sat down and like wrote this down, it'd be a lot easier. Like thinking of like global events. This is the kind of thing that would take time. If you can fucking improvise like modern current events to the tune of "We Didn't Start the Fire," you are talented. And you deserve fucking accolades, because improv is already hard enough as it is for like a lot of people.
But a song with world events.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That fucking actually rhymes. Like, Jesus, you are talented.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to do it right now, and I can only string 2 events at a time.
I got one and then stopped at like the second. That's how fucking like just my brain can't like work that fast. So again, if y'all can improv and you all can do that, hey,
Israel, Palestine, North Korea, back again.
Trump and Kim and shook hands.
Ariana Grande. Fuck, I kind of want to try this now. I want to write lyrics. I want to write modern lyrics to fucking...
You gotta get the inflection right, too, though. You gotta get the tone and such. Like, make sure that everything's kind of flows right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I could do that. When you're just changing the lyrics to an existing song, it's different. You don't have to change the music. That's... But
true.
But the tones, like, of where you're gonna put certain events, like, where you gets, like, more intense, like... Like at the very end of that song, he's like Belgians in the Congo. Like that's like it's like really intense shit like that at the end. Like he saves some of like the really hard stuff for like the end of like the verses, if you would, in that song. If you guys don't know what we're referencing, because I'm sure some of you listening to this are fucking, you know, Zoomers. It's a Billy Joel song called "We Didn't Start the Fire." Very, very catchy song. It's one of his top hits, and he has like, you know, a shit ton of top hits. He's like one of the most renowned, like, you know, artists in the world. And that song is basically like a list of like it's a rhyming song. Well, it's a rhyming song with a bunch of different,
David,
like.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, sure. I'll explain. It's a it's basically a song where like he lists like a bunch of different like current events. And like current events are like, you know, places or pop culture figures, just listing like the history of the world basically in a song. And the song is called "We Didn't Start the Fire," and it's basically implying that, you know, like a lot of the bad shit that happens in the world is not our fault. You know, this is just how the world turns. We didn't light it, but we're trying to fight it, as they say. So that's pretty much what that song is about. And what me and Dennis were just laughing so hard about now is that we were just basically like trying to improvise like modern events to that song, because that song was written in like the 80s, I believe. I think the early 80s, when Billy Joel was one of those artists. He had like a phase where he was trying to be like a pop artist at first, after being pretty much like a pianist. So let me "We Didn't Start the Fire" release date. Yeah, 1989. I thought it was actually the early 80s. No, it was the late 80s, 1989. All right, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, it was basically a response to a comment about how much harder it was growing up in the 1980s as opposed to the 1950s. He wrote the lyrics before the music and included the song on his 89 album, Stormfront. Alright, that is not what I expected that song to be about, but sometimes songs have different meanings. Like the song "American Woman" by the Guess Who. That song is not, the lyrics are about like rejecting an American woman, but that's not what it's actually about. It's about them trying to preserve their Canadian culture. Pretty interesting stuff. So I was just talking to the people about like song meanings and whatnot, because I was explaining what "We Didn't Start the Fire" was about and whatnot. And apparently, Billy Joel wrote that. Oh fuck! Hold on a second. I messed up the Google search. Apparently, Billy Joel wrote that song. What he meant by it is, apparently it was a response to a comment that somebody made to him about how much harder it was growing up in the 80s as opposed to it was in the 50s. Mm-hmm. Apparently that's what that was about, and as a result, I was telling the people about the Guess Who song, "American Woman." You know that song?
Yeah.
That song's not literally about rejecting an American woman. Like, it's not literally about a woman. It's actually about the Guess Who trying to reject the American media because they believe it corrupts people. Because they were a Canadian-based band. Mm-hmm. That's what that song's actually about. It was about preserving their heritage. That song is like a top 5 song for me. I love that song so much. But, yeah. North Korea, South Korea, Marilyn Monroe.
I'm still kind of always curious as to why Marilyn Monroe is so, like, why
she was fucking hot as fuck.
I mean, yeah, sure, but I mean, like, I'm talking about, like, at least, like, historic significance, like, other than the fact that she had sex with the 2 Kennedy brothers.
Probably at the same time.
Like, yeah, like, you know, like, I can't think
there's some good chowder. Sorry.
Mr. President.
And by chowder, I meant pussy.
I mean Marilyn's pussy. Jackie, get the camera.
When am I gonna have a turn with the ass? Seriously, just look up her dress from... Actually, I can't even find it. It's like her...
The famous white one, right?
Yeah, the famous white one from that scene of Some Like It Hot that's pretty much covering only her nipples and, like, nothing else. I remember watching that scene as a kid, and I'm like, I don't know why, but this is making me very happy.
She was definitely old sexy. Like, during, like, that sort of, like, decade and such. Like, she was definitely, like, you know, sexy for that time. I don't think... I mean, maybe. I don't know. Like, maybe someone looking like her in today's world. Like, I mean, you see girls, like, fucking dressing up as Marilyn Monroe for Halloween, like, plenty of times. So it's like, you know. But, like, that's the thing, though. She's like a... I mean, I don't know. I don't know,
dude, she was hot as fuck, man.
No, I know, but I know. She's like an 8 for the 60s, but, like, again, like,
She was definitely more than an 8 for the 60s, dude.
Fine, whatever. She's 8.5. I will concede.
Your fucking standards. Oh my god. Your 1950s standards, bro.
It's
Holy
because
shit.
it's because like she
was like kind of thick too.
I know, but that's like the main thing everyone knows her for, right? Like she was a very pretty woman for that time. I know that. But and also like that she fucked the Kennedys. Yes. Other than that, though, I don't know why. Like, and I guess she was a good actress too.
Also, hey, Marlon Brando as well.
That is true.
And Mickey Mantle.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Audrey Hepburn as well.
oh, really? That's hype.
I don't know. I thought.
As somebody who once came very, very, very close, unsuccessfully, into having a threesome. That's nice.
It's very nice.
It's very nice. How much? How much for you?
But my whole point is that like I don't understand why. I mean, like I know she's brought up a lot, but like people talk about her as if she did something crazily significant. But it's like I know her for
actress. I mean,
it's not even that. I'm not saying that she's a bad actress. Like I know she was fairly successful in that whole like industry. I'm just saying though, like I know you. Like how I know Monica Lewinsky. You fucked the president.
Right, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
And like that's why I don't understand. Like maybe if someone could tell me in the comments like what she actually did that was significant, that kind of warrants people talking about her all the time.
Fucking
like
comments even know who Marilyn Monroe is.
There's probably gonna be one guy who probably like just stands fucking Marilyn Monroe so much that he's gonna like give me a whole fucking novel about why she's so significant.
Like that weird guy, or like, like on like those TLC shows, like My Weird Life, like this. There was this one woman who I think like had a YouTube video, like I live every day like a 1960s housewife, because that's just what she really liked or identified as. Some crazy woman. I don't know. So maybe that person will do it. I wish people could leave comments on like Spotify and stuff, but Apple Podcasts, you can actually leave us reviews now. So if you could, please, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, if you could just take a couple of seconds, be like, all right, these guys turn me on with their ignorance on, Israel, Palestine, and their
and Marilyn Monroe
and their sick improv skills to Billy Joel songs. They're really awesome. And even though I don't know what either of them look like, I would definitely let them double team me to Bone Town.
And
please write exactly that.
And I will be in the other room with my headphones on.
Well, no, I'm saying she would let us double team her. I'm not saying it would happen. I'm not saying it would happen. I'm saying like she would probably come and be like, to hear that you have a girlfriend and then like kill herself.
Actually, David.
And I would get offended. I'd be like, what? Oh, the single D experience isn't enough for you?
She just wanted an Asian, like at least just one Asian in her life. And now, like she can't even get. She's like, oh my god, am I not good enough? But
I don't want to fuck just a white dude.
David, I haven't read the news in so fucking long.
Right.
Literally, as I looked up Marilyn Monroe, right?
Yeah.
Scrolled one, literally just nudged my mouse wheel down. Top stories. Giant Marilyn Monroe statues, backside sparks, backlash in Palm Springs. People basically are angry that, the statue has Marilyn Monroe upskirted. But I'm like, okay, I'm trying not to care about it.
Like, I'm sorry that you're not as hot as, the 1950s standards were, but don't be mad.
She was thick too. Like, she wasn't like how you see a lot of, like, skinny girls.
It wasn't until the 70s. Where being like stick fucking skinny was considered attractive for some reason. I looked at like the women, like the standard women that was like considered attractive in the media back then, and I'm like, holy fuck, you guys really wanted them like fucking actually anorexic. It was insane. Like back
pieces
then.
Of chopstick, literally walking pieces of chopstick. That's at least the current beauty standard.
Bro, you
don't
want like something to fucking hold at night, like something to grasp. You don't want. You don't want that shit. Come on.
There was this one fucking scene from Sopranos that I still die. I still die laughing every time. And like it's like all the guys, all the guys are talking about this one fat chick they all know and just like basically making fun of her. And one of the guys is like, I like a girl that you can grab onto something. Like, he's like also strictly Italian. He's like, he literally just has his hands out like, grab onto something.
I like something to grasp, but not. Very nice. So much.
Oh my god! I also remember there was followed by a joke afterwards. It's like, well, the girl's name was Ginny Sacramone, and the guy was like,
Well, why are they not mad about like fucking like Victoria's Secret stores?
wait, who?
The people pissed about the fucking Marilyn Monroe statue.
Because David, again, I told you this shit is manufactured. Their
You go to,
outrage is
you go to like a
manufactured.
Victoria's Secret, and they got all these big titty ladies that you're modeling the stuff
really?
out there. Yes. Yes.
I don't really see too many big titty girls. I mean, I see like fairly okay size. Like I think they're high B's. If anything.
Okay sized.
I mean, like okay as in like they're not like huge.
What
though.
did
Like,
you
they're
just
not-
fucking say?
Your tits are small. I'm sorry.
I mean, mine are. Yeah. I'm sorry. You're right.
Not you with that hypothetical Karen over there.
I mean, I'm trying to make them bigger. I'm doing like chest exercises because like my chest doesn't. I'm trying my best. I'm trying my hardest. Dennis. You don't know what it's like.
All of us working out, we're all just trying our best. If you got the mindset, you can do it.
Bro, David versus Dennis in the ring, 12 rounds.
I'd probably like do a bunch of illegal nut shots at you.
I would
like end it quickly.
Fucking
Like,
kill you. If you I would like take the gloves off, like rip your fucking head off, and like now you're all right. Guess what, bitch? You just fucking kicked my nuts in. You're about to get tasered, and I would whip out like my fucking like little
out of your crotch,
Dr. Watts. Say hello to Dr. Watts.
Was that from Shark Boy and Lava Girl?
No, it's from Talladega Nights.
Oh fuck. Okay, because I remember that.
Hey,
I can't
you just
believe
broke my
George-
bro's arm, so now you're about to get tasered.
I can't believe George Lopez was in that fucking movie.
Oh, fucking yeah.
Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Do you remember that one scene where he's like, "What's up?" Like, because he's supposed to be like a fucking electric-based villain.
No, but
And he
that
just-
sounds like something from that movie.
Yeah, and he just, I mean, maybe, and he just gives this like shit-eating grin to both of them. It's like he even raises his eyebrow, like, eh. That was a good one, right? Yeah,
That was
a good one,
probably
right?
George Lopez, like trying to like eyeball to the director or the producer or something. Like was that funny? Am I still funny? And he is, by the way. He's just not as like big of a figure as he used to be. Obviously, like he had his
Oh, yeah, of
sitcom and
course.
all that shit.
He's retired. He's allowed to be retired.
Oh, yeah, for
Let him
sure.
be retired. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I still find he's just like a funny-looking Mexican man. Like, and I adore that, because
He's a Mexican, not a Mexicant.
yeah. Everyone's seen Beverly Hills Chihuahua, but
God. When you're doing the talking, when you're doing the realistic talking dog movies, and that's when you know your career as a comedian is over, man.
would you say those have died out?
No, they're just not in fucking theaters anymore. That shit goes straight to DVD.
Yeah, I know, but like, have you seen even like any? I've even heard anyone memeing those movies. Like, I don't even hear that anymore.
Chihuahua.
Like, I really think maybe Shaggy Dog. I don't fucking know. Like with Tim Allen, but
Oh god, that's another one.
like Tom Hanks. No, Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Tim Allen.
I will
Tim
never
Allen.
forget at the end of that old Jontron video back in like late 2016, back when like right before like his fucking controversy happened and shit. He was going to he was walking around Times Square, just asking people if they knew who Tim Allen was, and nobody knew who Tim Allen was.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like no one knew who Tim Allen was. Oh, like it was so hard to see, man. I'm
I
like, pour
know.
one out for the homie.
Was it there one black dude that he talked to who basically went on like a whole spiel about Allah?
About
or
the
some
church,
shit?
the Church of the Seven.
Yeah.
He called it the Church of the Seven.
Yeah. And then he asked him like, "Hey, you know Tim Allen?" It's like, "I don't know Tim Allen."
And then John was like, just turned the cameras, like, let's get the fuck out of here.
This is why New Yorkers themselves, they don't go to Times Square, and it's also I don't go to Times Square because fuck Times Square. I hate Times Square.
It'd be like that.
I don't even live there, and I hate Times Square.
Well, as somebody in trying to break into the industry that I like to work in, and I'm grateful that I live where I do, Times Square is something I'm gonna have to explore. Definitely never live in though. I'm not about to pay, $3 million for a fucking closet. Not about that shit. I'm not about to pay $5 million so I can live inside my gaming PC.
Or your broom. Oh, yeah, like that, or your fucking pantry.
Yeah. But it's okay because you live in New York. Like, fuck you. Fuck you, all right?
I mean, again, if you do live in New York, like, and you're trying to make it out there, and you don't complain, okay then. But again,
You listen to New York every morning, just as a reminder that if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
yeah.
Start spreading my ass. I'm coming today.
Sinatra was a Jersey boy too.
I want that shit inside of me, inside my ass.
I do 1,000 pounds of cocaine every day. I don't even know the actual song
every
itself,
single day.
I shoot up heroin with my friends. And what a wild time it is. And then I blow 10 cocks a night.
Oh, geez. Oh, wow. I guess he's really gone downhill.
I mean,
But he seems to be happy. He's singing about it. So,
it is Sinatra. He sounds as if he's happy about everything he sings, even though a lot of shit that he does sing about kind of does have a bit of an undertone of sadness.
That's why the lady is a bitch. It's basically what he was saying back then. It's just like that was the, esports way.
What is your favorite Sinatra song? Because I only have the one.
I love World on a String. I definitely love World on a String. I like Michael Bublé's version of it a lot better, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he has so many fucking broken songs, dude. Like, That's Life is amazing. Like, My Way, that song is fucking power. That song is power.
That one's my favorite.
Yeah, that song is straight fucking power, man. Like, honestly. Come Fly With Me. Can't go wrong with that. That's, like, literally one of the most, like, classic, famous jazz songs in the fucking world. Yeah. I mean, if I had to, the first one that came to my mind was World on a String. I opened for Bergen Community's jazz concert a couple years ago for singing that song on a piano. It was nice. It was nice.
Was it you and like another person, like a duet?
No, just me.
You were playing on the piano too.
Oh no, there was somebody playing the piano, but he was just he was just playing the piano. I was walking around like swinging the chord and shit, be like, yeah, I'm sexy. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, but I probably have to say, I mean, the thing is, like, I love Michael Bublé's rendition of World on a String so much better. I think his version of that song is a lot better. So maybe My Way, if I had to pick like a specifically Frank Sinatra version of a Frank Sinatra song. But if I have to pick a favorite Frank Sinatra song, probably World on a String, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, and mine's is My Way. I don't know. There's always been. I heard that song.
Hey there, Fruity, did you comb your hair? Hey there, Fruity, don't touch me down there.
Like a lot of stuff that he still sings, like that he sings about, still applies like today. A lot of it's like a lot of his songs like were kind of like telling his story and such.
Oh, I forgot New York, New York. I literally just sang it. I'm retarded. I'm like, that song's vintage.
He from Sea Caucus.
Oh my god, I forgot so many. I forgot The Way You Look Tonight. I've Got You Under My Skin. You Make Me Feel So Young. Best Is Yet to Come. Oh fuck, I forgot how many. Fly Me to the Moon. Okay, I can't choose. I can't choose.
Okay,
I'm
but
sorry.
Here's the thing though, and what you just said kind of made me think a bit. Frank Sinatra is one of those guys where like you kind of don't listen to him every day.
No.
But when you do listen to him, it's like, oh fuck.
This guy's a piece of history.
Yeah,
I'm listening to it right now.
And like, I'm like almost tearing a bit, like, listening to him. And I'm pretty sure, like, if there was a time period that I could go to,
he was the fucking GOAT. He really was.
Like, he was the GOAT musically. As a person, maybe not too much, considering he had a couple of ties with the mafia.
No, I mean, he had a couple ties with the mob, but trust me, compared to, like, some of the other members of the Rat Pack who were fucking blatantly racist.
Oh, yeah.
He was, actually, not maybe some of them more sexist than anything else. I mean, whatever his name was, Bing Crosby, fuck that guy. He beat the shit out of his wife. He's a piece of shit. Frank Sinatra back then, he was actually, for that time period, fairly progressive, which is not today's progressive, but back then he actually was, like...
For the day.
Yeah, for the day he was actually. Yeah. I heard he was actually a great guy, but I don't know enough about him, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. But, again, like, I think...
Fly Me to the Moon. Oh, fuck. I forgot Fly Me to the Moon. That song is so beautiful.
He's definitely one of those, like, kind of singers who, like, going back to it again, like, just whenever you do listen to his stuff, like, whether it be through on TV or a guy on YouTube is using his songs or even a movie's using it, it's like immediately recognizable. Everyone knows his voice.
Oh yeah.
Across the board. Even if you're not even from the United States, like people worldwide know who Sinatra is.
Oh,
like,
Sinatra.
I know him.
Very nice.
He had my pasta last
Take like
what year is it?
Ah! It's 2021. Ah! What'd you say, honey? Why are they suddenly American?
Dude's like fucking 90. Maybe, you know.
Oh,
that's how
Frank Sinatra. Very nice.
nice.
I put them in my cassette player.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those. Like, he's a goat for sure. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna deny that. Like, he's one of, like, again, he's one of those like artists, like Michael Jackson. I don't listen to Michael Jackson stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But, like, when I do, like, you know, I'm like, oh fuck, yeah, let's beat it.
The
Yeah,
king of
Billie
pop,
Jean.
they call him. Yeah.
Yeah, like for a good reason too. Like, he's like he definitely is like I mean, he's always been up there. Even when like he peaked and like even after he died, like everyone still knew who the fuck he was. And you know, even with Michael Jackson as well, like even after the whole like touching kids shit, like people still listen to his music, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I like his music.
Yeah, at this point,
Yeah.
it's sort of like beating a dead horse. You're not a fucking pedophile or support pedophiles for listening to fucking Michael Jackson. He's dead.
Jackson, yeah.
He's dead. It's like, so that money's not even fucking going.
Yeah. It's like,
At
just
this
get over
point.
it.
Like, that's a little different. But,
Yeah.
honestly, goats of music, my friend, or goats of, like, the
Michael
different kinds of music. And it's also important to differentiate the father of rock and roll between the king of it, and that is Chuck Berry and Elvis Presley, respectively. Because everybody's like, I mean, every popular American music was stolen from black people. Every American music. Fucking blues was stolen from them. Rock was stolen from them. Jazz was stolen from them. Hip hop, you know, eventually like had more like white people start to do it, but it definitely was not stolen from them culturally, as they say. Yeah. Like literally, it was an African American invented the guitar, or an African invented the guitar. My mistake, if I'm not mistaken, actually. And obviously, like one of the earliest, like where rock and roll comes from is the blues. It was derived from the blues, and which the blues was, you know, written by, you know, African Americans. A lot of it was very, you know, sad songs about, you know, their struggles. And then rock music derived from that. Chuck Berry was the one who started, you know, stringing way harder on that shit and actually plucking them fucking chords, just like he probably did to every pussy he could find. But yeah. And then what happened is that he invented it, and then like Elvis perfected it, basically, is what came around. And then the Beatles, like, you know, just completely
took it by storm.
Took it by storm and just like became the most influential group of musicians to ever live. And
Beatles are still Beatles.
Yeah, and the Beatles are still Beatles. You know, I mean that you don't have to like the Beatles, because I hear it's like some people like try to be edgy and say, "Oh, the Beatles suck." You can be objectively wrong about that. You don't have to like them, but like you don't be a dick. Put some respect on their name. Yeah, on their names.
I mean, we're gonna have like, you know, people the generation after us are also gonna have their goats as well, like people that like, you know, like their music. It's a bit different, you know. Music kind of changes and it doesn't change. You know what I mean? Like it kind of just evolves and transitions, like a lot of the times, like throughout its history. Because like you said, like, you know, rock and roll kind of came from the blues, so like it just kind of like they all just kind of like derive from each other and like just have made their own genres now. Wherever, like, whatever camp you're in, like, you know, everyone kind of knows, like, this kind of has a little bit of that, this kind of has a little bit of that. Classical, I think, is still one of those genres of music that, like, flat out, it's like, it's always going to be, I guess, its own thing, just simply because of the fact that, like, for one, I don't know if a lot of people are even making new classical music. I don't even know if that is even...
There was Johan Johansson, who died a couple years ago. He has one called Love After Love. I definitely recommend listening to that one. It's a very beautiful orchestrated piece. It's just not like, dude, that's not the shit that plays on the radio. You gotta look for that shit. It's not like your average top 40 songs that have the same fucking 4-chord structure in every fucking track, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, this is my jam. I love this beat," and it's the same song they've heard like fucking like literally over 100 times, and they don't even realize it. I'm gonna be that guy and say, like, I mean, I don't hate modern music, but I'm not a fan of modern pop. I'm really not. It's just so fucking repetitive and shitty to me. As well as the song's substance as well. Like, it's just like, you know, like, my pussy, my pussy, my pussy, my pussy, my pussy,
fuck my pussy.
And the guys are like, my dick, my dick, my dick, my dick, my dick, my dick.
My bitches, my bitches, my bitches, my cars, my house, my house, my house, my house.
My house.
My house. I mean, yeah.
What's up, Vanilla Fist?
If we're gonna be going off of stereotypes, it is true. I mean, you know, also like good music again is just subjective. You can find it anywhere.
Of course, you want. Whatever you want. Yeah. Like if you like the top 40 songs, I don't give a fuck. Like what you like.
I still like one Lady Gaga song in particular, which I think was Applause, just because of how fucking catchy it is.
Yeah, Applause was really catchy. Yeah,
and like that's the thing also too. Now the name of the game isn't really like. I mean, you still like gotta make a banger, yeah, but like a lot of the times like. Songs kind of climb, at least in my opinion, climb to the top of the charts because of the fact that like it's so catchy. Like you just have it in your fucking head for the next week because like it's just so catchy and like all your brain is thinking like you're replaying the lyrics again. Like sometimes even in the shower, sometimes you even do it to yourself. You're just like
Mine is Born This Way. Mine is Born This Way. That song's a fucking banger. Lady Gaga.
Okay.
Like if I had to pick a Lady Gaga song, definitely Born This Way. That shit fucks and has like an actual really nice message to it. Now Lady Gaga's cool, and it took years for us to realize how hot she was, but that's because she was covered in literal meat for like fucking 4 years or some shit like that. She's actually like fucking gorgeous as a woman, and to come to I'm sorry, what? What's your dentist rating?
No, I think she looks fine, but I think she is pretty. Like.
Yeah,
it was just like the outfits was just kind of like made me go like, can I just see you like what you look like underneath all that war paint for once, please? Like, she even came out in interviews and like dressed like that too, which I mean, again, if that's your view, like that's your way of self-expression, like who the fuck am I to say anything? Mm-hmm. But it's just kind of like I'ma still make fun of it, but at the same time, like that's you, like that's you, then do you?
Yeah, of course. She just wants to open people's minds, and she's very. Open to everybody. I mean, she's the kind of artist that really like helps like propel like that kind of culture of acceptance into the future. She made like a lot of young women feel more confident in themselves. Yeah, cis or trans, whatever. I mean, it's wonderful. Yeah. Like I'm not out here to disrespect no Lady Gaga, right? I'm just saying.
Neither am I.
I want. If I had a cooch, I don't want salmonella inside of it, and I'm pretty sure wearing a meat dress is how you get cooch salmonella.
Like I'ma still make fun of her till I die. Like it's just like how it is. Like there's a lot of funny shit that she does that I'ma make fun of. Yeah. Like the way she dresses. Like I'm sorry. Like it's just how it is. But yeah. Like nowadays, like she's kind of fallen off now. Like all of the people that I sort of saw coming up and make it basically. When I was like in middle school and high school, like. I don't hear nothing about Rihanna. Every news, every Twitter thing, if we're talking about, like, let's say, black female stars, has always been about Cardi B. I don't hear nothing about, like, Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, I don't care for Cardi B.
Yeah, and no one, neither do I. But I'm just saying, though, like, Rihanna.
I doubt she does deep down.
Yeah, probably. But, like, all them guys.
Fuck Cardi B, by the way. She literally, like, has, like, songs about, like, how she wants to date rape men and, like, shit that she's, like, done beforehand as well, and nobody fucking cared. The thing, too, she wasn't even ashamed of it. Yeah.
She just straight up said, like,
it's okay because men have date raped women for ages, so it's okay. We can just fucking start drugging people. It's all right. Yeah. Tony Bennett, actually... that was the crossover of the century. I don't remember when they did it, but they released like a couple songs or albums together. Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga, literally the most like unlikely duo you could possibly think of, but they did, and it was not bad. It was nice.
It was nice. Okay.
And speaking of nice, we got to wrap up here. So what's really nice
is these pussy lips, these pussy lips and pickled dick.
Ew. No. Ew.
Honestly, that name that I made was pretty cursed. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
mine is just not even creative. Like, mine is trash. I'm just like, yeah, let's just be blatantly sexual today, huh?
I wish I could have an avatar for like both of our panels.
Well,
like,
I think that's pretty avatarded, ladies and gentlemen.
Fuck you, Dave.
Fuck you, all right? We're doing the ad slides.
Do your plug.
Rise Cold Brew, ladies and gentlemen, sponsors this podcast. It's delicious, nitrogenated, organic cold brew coffee. It's wonderful stuff. Smooth, nitrogenated on the way down. That's what comes from it. You hear the ksh when you open up the can as well. That is the nitro airing itself out. Very smooth, low acidity as well, and comes in a variety of wonderful flavors, as well as oat milk if caffeine's not your thing, and original vanilla and chocolate. You can use discount code Nintoonist, specifically using the link below. If you're listening on Spotify, I'm sorry that you can't copy or paste or click things in the description. Stupid. It's dumb. It makes me so mad. You can use that link in the description below to put discount
have
code.
A Snickers.
Shut up. To put discount code Nintoonist and to get 10% off of your order today, with a proceed of that sale going directly to supporting the podcast as well. We definitely appreciate all the support you guys have been giving us. And we got some followers on the Twitter recently, and we've seen a steady upstream of listeners as well recently as well. So if this is your first time listening to the podcast, thank you so much, and I'm sorry.
He's sorry because this is David's last day on the podcast.
Yeah, we thought we'd save it to the very end. Yeah, I'm bored. I'm done. Fuck this. Y'all are stupid.
What would Double D experience be, such as how Keemstar? What would it be without himself, Keemstar?
Be the single D experience. Yeah, but no, honestly, thank you guys so much. We've seen like the steady upstream of listeners we got, and if we happen to catch you in this episode, honestly, just thank you so much, for helping like take our little baby in the creative direction that we're going, and actually having people listen to our garbage really means a lot to us. 'Cause me and Dennis do put a lot of work into this podcast. It really
a lot of garbage.
We really put a lot of garbage in it. We're just like basically imagine Oscar the Grouch, except there's two of us sharing one can.
We're like Patrick with like the wood taped to his fucking head. Like that's just how I'd imagine. Like, that's basically us in a nutshell, guys. And basically, you guys are looking at us like through the podcast equivalent of a glass window from a zoo. Like you just seeing us like basically muddle around in the mud, looking like apes. But again,
and here we have the brain damaged starfish. No, distinctly the nail bored in its head.
Again, guys, we appreciate every view, play, anything that y'all can give us, and please leave likes and comments and all that good stuff, and subscribe to us and tell your friends about us. Like
Apple Podcast as well, reviews.
Shit. Yeah, please
leave us some good reviews on there as well.
Leave us some good shit, and we're gonna give you at least semi-good shit in return, because we deal with trash, and we are literal trash.
Yeah, like seriously, we you probably can't tell. Like we record this from a can.
Yeah, we record this in the bathtub.
I poured every bit of my money on multiple different like editing, multiple different fucking recording softwares, and as a result, I had to. They foreclosed on my house. But I still have my gaming PC, which I can plug into my neighbor's place. And use here.
You're like hunched over in the yard, like in the grass, like probably.
Yeah, like it rained on my PC several times. I don't know how it still functions. Literally open. But on all seriousness, thank you all so much for the steady upstream. Yeah. We love you all. I've been gradually losing subs on the YouTube channel, because like that's where slowly, because that's where was my gaming channel until I started only posting the podcast. That's to be expected. So for all you who left, you fake bitches. Fake as fuck. No, honestly, it makes sense. But for those of you who stuck around for the podcast, who like tell me you'll listen to anything we do, means a lot to us, man. Because this is, like I said, this is mine and Dennis's like little procreated baby that we made here, and it just means a lot that you all listen. So
you are not the father.
The pop-offs they do on that fucking show. That shit is so funny. Maury, like that show rots your brain, but it is so fucking funny.
You stay for the end, basically.
Pretty much,
like,
yeah. Oh, there's a clip I got to show you later concerning that. By the way, you'll really appreciate it.
Just like this podcast, you stay for the end, I guess.
Yep, stay for the oil.
Yeah, never.
Jumping out of lane, stay for the oil. Ladies and gentlemen, we're done. Follow us at Double D Pod and at the Double D on Twitter, and at the Double D Experience 21 on Instagram. Dennis, we're done. Take it out.
I don't like Saudi women.
Yeah, that one's definitely making the cut.
I don't like the mask.
Yeah, that one. Okay.
I want to see what the fuck is underneath the veil. Like, what if they have fucked up teeth?
That's how I feel about the American public. Okay, because of COVID.
But they wear masks culturally. We wear masks because we got told to do so. That's different.
Some of them got told to do so. They don't all like to wear that shit.
Yeah, and if they don't, they get stoned. But here for us, I think we're like.
It depends on the person. It literally depends on the person over there. And
I was talking about Saudi
can we
women.
end the fucking podcast on a high note, please?
I love you.
Love you all. Lights off.
Fuck you, David.